Hello, everyone. Welcome to Castle Building and Remodeling's virtual Impressive Progressive. My name is Hannah, and I am the marketing manager here. And we are so excited to virtually show off all these projects to you today. While we're sad that we cannot broadcast or do the tour live, we are excited that we can broadcast them to you right in your own home. In our panel today, we have Brent, Lauren, and Emily. A few housekeeping items before we get started. This event is being recorded and it will be shared on our website, our social media platforms, and our monthly newsletter. At any point, don't hesitate to submit a question and we will do our best to answer them during the show. As you saw, that was a preview from our July episode. We were able to showcase a kitchen in Northeast Minneapolis designed by Ashley Hansen, and an addition with a new master suite in St. Paul designed by the late Mark Benzel and presented by designer Amy Hink. You can find our July episode and many other educational videos on our YouTube channel and our website, www.castlebree.com. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future events. Now, over to you, Lauren.
Awesome. Well, thanks. I'm Lauren Scherber. I'm the owner of Castle Building and Remodeling. And my dad started Castle in 1977. So we've been around for 40 plus years. I purchased the business from Marty Scherber, my father, a few years back. And I've been involved in managing Castle for the last 17 years. And so I'm excited to share this event with you. I dreamt it up as a way to get people together to see amazing, impressive projects that our great designers and craftspeople conceive and put together. And we imagined it as an opportunity to get together and have a nice hors d'oeuvre or a drink and see a remodel and be impressed and ask questions and be educated about remodeling. And so we're excited to share this with you. And hope it inspires you to make your home your castle. These are two of our best projects or uniquest projects that we did in 2020, and we hope you'll be truly impressed. And we'll continue to come back in the future to future impressive progressive events, whether they're virtual or live.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren. I would agree. We have some really impressive projects to showcase today. So let's just go ahead and dive right in with our first house. Awesome. So that was just a little preview of the behind the scenes before the projects were transformed. Today's a special treat because this Northeast Minneapolis home does belong to owner Lauren himself. Having completed many projects on the home throughout the years, this summer Lauren and his wife Jill moved forward with an exterior project that our small projects division handled. We will also be touring the kitchen, which was remodeled back in 2018. The original kitchen did not provide a good workspace and lacked storage, but the new modern design is now functional with added storage, countertop workspace, and better task lighting. Small Projects Division Manager Brent helped to create this serene backyard space that will be enjoyed for years to come. Brent and Lauren will be taking us through each space respectively. Quick note before we start, if you have any questions, go ahead and submit them and we'll do our best to answer them after the presentation. Brent, are you ready?
Sure.
All right.
Well, first of all, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm outside of Lauren's house, and he is hermetically sealed inside of his house. You know, it's kind of funny, the Small Projects Division, it runs a gamut. We do some inside stuff if it's a minor kitchen overhaul or a bathroom that doesn't need a designer. We can be the first contact for people finding out about Castle and maybe putting in a door or a window. And oftentimes it can work the other way around too, where we're working on a big room addition or remodeling project, and there's a couple of small things that need to be done in preparation for that. Maybe refresh the basement bathroom before they build the upstairs bathroom, and it's, you know, so they have something to use. All kinds of things that go on, and porches and decks are a large part of that. They don't take a lot of design. Usually the homeowners are pretty involved in their own design. And so the small, you know, some of them aren't very small projects at all. But, and Lauren's deck, you know, sometimes you think it could be scary working for the owner of the company, but that's actually not the case with him. He's a pretty easygoing guy anyway. And he, you know, no one loves to talk about fixing houses like he does. So he's very involved in stuff. I'm going to just step aside here so you can see the deck. The biggest issue here was that the previous deck was 15 years old, and it was done with some wood that required a lot of maintenance. So it was just time. And what we like to use, there's a few different woods that can be used for decks and reasons why we use certain ones. The lowest maintenance and the most stable decks, a lot of times we use the kiln dried treated wood. It can be spruce or fir or pine, but it's treated and then cooked in the oven. So a lot of the green treated lumber, you know, still moves around and changes its form over the course of time when it's on a deck. And of course, raw cedar we use a lot of times, but that takes staining or painting. And really that decision's made a lot of times when people want it to be a certain color or fit something else on the house, you know, the aesthetic. We also use a lot of composite materials on decking, and it's got a more modern look and feel to it, but again, it's low maintenance and a lot of people like it. So in this case, Lauren's got kiln dried fir, I believe, here. And so while we were at it, what do we want the space to look like in the back? It's funny because the grill is always, I don't know if you can see, the grill is just out of the picture, but where the grill is always an important aspect of designing a deck. We've got a couple of posts here that are holding up the awning, and then we've got some lighting around the thing, and then we got a couple of planters over there. I'm doing like the weatherman here. There's planters over there that are both aesthetically pleasing, and they also provide a little bit of privacy from the next door neighbor over there. So you know, it's a pretty simple project. The other thing about the projects like this is if we've got a couple of room additions going and we're waiting on the plumber or we're waiting on the electrician or somebody like that, the reason this division was designed was so that we would have stuff to do in between those big jobs. So we always try to have a few of these on the docket ready to go. Yeah, so that's what we do here.
Awesome. Thank you, Brent. I think we're going to move inside now and we'll tour Lauren's kitchen. Are you ready, Lauren?
All right. Well, we've stepped inside. Welcome inside the house. Thanks, Brent, for showing us the deck that's outside the house. We really love it. It's a great outdoor living place. We're really happy with the cover we put over it and the lights to help keep the sticky stuff and the spiky balls off the deck and keep our new polywood lawn furniture or deck furniture protected and clean. So now we're inside my 1953 Rambler in Northeast Minneapolis. And as you'll see, behind me is a refrigerator and the sink and some open cabinets. And so this kitchen is a unique kitchen in that it's kind of a partial makeover, which means we kept some of the cabinets behind me on this wall and put new doors and drawers on them and lights and tile and a new sink and faucet. And I'll show you around it a little bit, but on the other side of the kitchen, we actually use new cabinets. And so that side of the kitchen was more of a gut to the studs, replace the electrical, replace the drywall, put in new cabinets and countertops, move the stove, move a gas line. And so we kind of have a combination of a makeover, which was really great actually in this project because we were able to keep our sink and dishwasher throughout the whole project except for 3 days. One of the hardest parts of a kitchen remodel can be doing dishes in the bathtub or the laundry tub and not having that kitchen sink. So with a makeover, it can be less expensive. There are some downsides, as in the inside of your cabinets are still the inside of your cabinets. You can paint them, you can put new shelves in, but the boxes themselves are still the same. You can have the soft close drawers that won't slam, and the drawers that are soft close and new drawers, but generally the cabinet boxes stay the same. So we like to offer all options. I challenge you to, it's kind of hard to tell even which half of this kitchen is new and which half is old. So definitely some cost savings with a makeover versus a complete remodel. And it kind of works when you don't want to change the layout. This side of our kitchen really wasn't going to change much. 10 or 15 years ago, we had added this cabinet above the fridge where the last owners had hacked off a shelf. So the fridge would fit in there. We had replaced that. And so since this side behind me wasn't going to change much, it worked out perfectly for a makeover. And so some of my favorite details about this kitchen design-wise are nice countertop space on each side of the sink, nice countertop space on each side of the range, and a place over here to put groceries while we're loading the fridge with groceries. My other favorite features are the under cabinet lights. We almost never turn the main light on in our kitchen, just using under cabinet lights and the dimmer that's available on them. We can light and darken this whole kitchen. So whatever mood we're in or whatever task we're completing. And the under cabinet lights, these LED lights are so great now because they really light the task or the surface area that you're working on. The lights on the center of your kitchen at the ceiling tend to cast shadows and block the areas that you're actually working in. So I love these under cabinet lights. And then the other thing, we've got some great tile from a local Northeast handmade tile place, Mercury Mosaics, that mimics the mint green of the 1950s. It's originally in this house. And we actually did tile all the way up on this whole wall just to give it a really rich look and complement the lighting. So I'm going to switch it around now and jump over to the other side and show you the other side of the kitchen. Bear with me. So this other side of the kitchen, you'll see is the new side. This is where we elected to remove cabinets that didn't quite work right. There was a drawer that hit a stove when it pulled out, and the stove was a little bigger than it used to be. And so we moved the stove over, got rid of a corner cabinet that was rounded like they loved to do in the 50s, put in some new cabinets. There's a garbage can pull out here that you can't quite see, but garbage and recycling is great. We've got a corner cabinet here that pulls out and lets us use the whole corner kind of a little bit better than a Lazy Susan. We've got big drawers here that you also can't see. I apologize about that, but they're full of pots and pans that make it easy to get things in and out. And then with our range, we did a range that has a front control unit, and that allows the tile on the back to be shown off and really not be covered up with the controls of the range. The only thing to be careful with is if you like to open your range and let all the heat out, that can actually hurt the controls on a range like this because all the electronics are right there. So we've had to be a little careful with that. But otherwise, we've love the tile. We love the range. The countertops, which you got a great view of here, are actually recycled glass countertops. So they were tempered glass, like a shower door or a windshield on a car, that were actually crushed up and put into a white resin and then polished. And so they're rock solid, like quartz or granite. Look beautiful, kind of give it a coastal vibe, and kind of complement the green mint color on the back of the kitchen. So so that is our kitchen remodel. And next I'm going to take you through and just show you our dining room and the interior. We've got a great George Nelson bubble lamp reproduction, and then in the dining room here we opened up a wall between the stairway to the basement and the dining room and reused a wall divider that came out of a project. Had to trim it down a little bit and paint it, but it added a nice 50s accent and allowed me to show off all my 50s knickknacks. And it was a pretty easy 2-day project. Not too expensive, but really lets a lot of light into the basement, makes the dining room feel larger, makes the stairs to the basement not so dark, and really complements the rest of the style. We like salvaged furniture. Got some great places in town here where they refurnish old 50s furniture, and so we've bought some of those, and other than a few marker marks from our 4-year-old, it's held up really well. And so that's our 50s Rambler and the kitchen and dining room remodel that we did a few years ago to help make the house work for the long term. The last thing I'll mention is that we did replace the tile in our kitchen with hardwood floors to match the rest of the house, and that's been a great smooth flush transition. The tile looked a little dirty after 12 years, and we love our hardwood floors. It matches well and going to hold up for, I don't know, another 150 years. So that is our kitchen and dining room in our 1953 Rambler in Northeast Minneapolis. I'll turn it back over now.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. While we're waiting for any other questions to come in, you did answer one. Brad wanted to know what material did you use for your countertops? And you went right into that and talked about the recycled glass. So that was awesome. I'm just going to show. Oh, Brad wants to know, is the recycled glass more or less expensive than granite?
Sure. It is actually more expensive than granite. Surprisingly, granite has become I won't say the least expensive option, but one of the least expensive options. It's at $50 a square foot for tier 1 granites. It's not much more expensive than laminate. The recycled glass is a pretty labor intensive process. There's a small supplier in southern Minnesota who makes them and installs them, and that's more probably double that cost, or more in line with Cambria or higher end quartz countertop surfaces. So although you would think because it's using recycled materials it would be less expensive, it's not. It's more labor intensive and custom made as opposed to mass manufactured.
Very cool.
Yeah, and there are a million different choices you can do with the recycled glass, depending on the glass colors, the background colors. The resin, the white part of my countertops, is really what gives it the color.
We have another question from Anne. She wants to know, what color did you use for your kitchen walls?
That we might have to follow up with. I should have that available. I want to say it was like a robin's egg blue, but ultimately what we did was we took the tile backsplash, and where the accent color on the tile backsplash was, there was some blues and yellows and greens, and we matched the blue that was in the tile backsplash. So I'm thinking what we did is took that blue tile to Sherwin-Williams, and they used their spectrometer to match a color blue to that tile. So I'm not sure it has a color, but I think it was matched to the tile accent.
So probably custom. We'll look into that though, Anne, and if there's a specific color, we'll be sure to let you know. As more questions come in, I am just going to play a very short video showcasing the couple projects Brent and his team recently completed. Here we go.
another small deck.
Go ahead, Brent.
Oh, the first one was the porch railing was falling off of Sarah's house, and so that was the entry point. And then when we got there, we started talking about it, and he had some bare wood that was above the porch railing, and they also kind of needed a new door. So we picked out a door, and then we got to stand them at the railing cap and up underneath the thing. So that was just a quick 2-day project. And then Lauren was actually involved on the front end. He had just done his deck, and Kathleen and Olaf called and said they didn't have a door in the back of their house, and they had to come out the side all the way down the sidewalk and walk through the yard to get to where they wanted to grill the meat. So we put a door in their laundry room so they could right off of the kitchen, so they could come out the door, and then the deck kind of leads to the patio that they already had. So that was a fairly small project, but it tied their whole outdoor living space together. And so those are just a couple of examples.
I remember that one. There's always a few complexities. They had an egress window that was there that we had to work around, and we needed to put some railings so you didn't fall off the deck into the egress window, but still meet egress so people could get out. So there are a lot of things we're able to do if, an air conditioning unit needs to move, to put the deck there, or like you saw there, we analyzed whether we could put a door in, and, are there outlets in the way? Is there heat registers in the way? Can we take the window out and use the header or not?
We had to get the electrician out there to find out if we were going to have to move their power over. In the end, we didn't have to move the power over, but there's just a lot of little funny things you don't think about till you're thinking about it that you got to figure out on these things,
Brent's talking about the electrical mast on the exterior of their house. There's codes that say that it can't be less than 10 feet off the ground. They don't want somebody to be able to reach up and grab the power line, or reach out a window and grab the power line. And so those are the kind of little details that always come into effect on our projects.
There's a lot to think about, even if it's a small project, that's for sure. Speaking about decks and porches, though, have you guys been seeing any specific trends this year? And do you have recommendations for our guests for next year?
Well, I would say that we have been getting a lot of calls about porches and decks and outdoor living spaces, especially with social distancing and people feeling more comfortable being outside and hanging out with friends and family. And so it's never too early to start planning ahead for next year. I'm thinking about spring and getting on the schedule early, because they are popular projects these days. And my dad had a good joke that everybody with a patio wants a deck, and everybody with a deck wants a screen porch, and everybody with a screen porch wants a 3-season porch. And if you got a 3-season porch, you probably want it 4 seasons, so you just get a little more out of it. And so we just tell people to think ahead. It is fairly easy to turn a deck potentially into a screen porch, or a 3-season porch, or 4-season room if it's built right on footings with the proper framing and ledger boards and tied into the house. And so if you can, think ahead of what you really want and do it right once the first time, that'll be less expensive. And screens will help keep the bugs away. 3-season will help extend the seasons. And so they're great outdoor spaces. And this time of year, we got to think about getting more sunlight and being outside more. So it's a good investment to make, even if we have shorter season here in Minnesota.
I would agree with that. All right, guys. Well, thank you. I think we're going to move over to our next project over in South Minneapolis. You can head to castlebrie.com to learn more about your small projects and handyman projects. Over in South Minneapolis, we are here with Emily. She designed an amazing kitchen, and I think the transformation is going to really wow our audience. So let's check out that before video real quick. Wow. So without giving too much away, I think there are some design elements that were incorporated from the original house in the new layout that truly takes the space to the next level. And I think Emily would agree with that. Before we give it over to her for the tour, I just want to remind you, you can submit your questions in the comments section and we'll be sure to answer them after she does her presentation. Emily, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily. I've been with Castle for going on 9 years and working on all sorts of different projects. Lots of kitchens, bathrooms, basements, attics, a few additions. I do especially enjoy space planning and kitchen remodels, so I'm excited to show you this space today. So I'm here in South Minneapolis in a 1930s Tudor in the Longfellow neighborhood. And we did a kitchen remodel that actually relocated the existing kitchen space into previous dining room. And we opened up 2 walls. So with that project, we did have to manage, new wall framing, structural loads, patching in flooring. So it was quite a transformation. The homeowner of this home actually attended one of Castle's in-person home tours a few years ago, and that's how she found out about us. She did an educational class with me also. So she was, planning ahead, doing lots of planning before she began the project and began planning the new space, which is smart to plan ahead. So we actually started construction last year in 2019 in November, and then we finished up construction in March, so just before COVID. So they've been able to enjoy the space, and they've been living in their home, enjoying the new kitchen for a few months now, and it's really nice to be back and get to see how the space has been functioning for them. So I'm going to just kind of start walking you through the space so you can kind of get an idea of what all happened here. So I'm now in the living room, and you can see we have these 2 really beautiful arches. So this used to be a wall here, and that's where the kitchen was. And then this arch over here was much smaller, and that's where the dining room used to be. So we actually opened up the wall here, and there was a secondary wall running this way that closed off the kitchen to the dining room. So the homeowner really wanted to have an open floor plan, something that worked better for their family and really showed off their amazing lighting that's coming in on the side of the home. We also wanted to keep some of the charm of the house, so we did replicate the original Tudor arches with the new opening. The reason why we have 2 arches is because framing and the structural load, so we couldn't have this long of a spanse here that's just straight opening. So I came up with the concept of putting in a post in the middle to split the load. And it's a really cute look too, to have the 2 arches. Just gonna swing us over. So the original flooring in the house was hardwood. We did keep the dining room hardwoods, the living room hardwoods, and then the old kitchen had some sort of linoleum flooring. So we pulled that up and actually replaced new hardwoods in the dining. We did a really nice job. And then, in the kitchen, you can see we have our fridge. There's a pull-out pantry cabinet next to the fridge. I'm going to open that and show you. It was a little bit tight because we tried to keep existing windows and successfully did keep existing windows. So the space kind of aligned per those windows that were in the old dining. And then the window at the front of the house, we did decide to keep, the height was a little bit lower, so we do have the countertop that's just extending in front of the window here. Spinning around the kitchen, fridge, small dishwasher, We did a sink with a smart divide. So it's a really nice use of space. Corner cabinet, trash pull, the little cute window, and then the wall oven. And then at the island is where our cooktop is. I really like how the drawers look, all these nice drawers. And then I'm gonna open some cabinets for you guys. So we had some little bit of space that we wanted to utilize. So we did some nice pullouts. This one's for hanging utensils. So they're actually on the other side here. And then we have a little spice pullout over here. These are pretty narrow. They're meant to be like a filler pull. You can do a little bit wider ones if you have the space for it. And then next to the fridge is a pantry pullout. And then one of my favorite spots in this kitchen and dining room is this little bench seat. So there's actually a little side entry here that the homeowners frequently use. So it's nice to have some area that they can sit down, take shoes off. So we have a broom cabinet, the bench seat with storage, and then the original kitchen actually jogged back about a foot, or I think it was like 20 inches from the old dining room. So we utilized that little bit of space here and did a little bookshelf. So you can see this cabinet is deeper than on the kitchen side. Some tricks that we had to play with was relocating HVAC supplies. So there's a few of them. I don't know if you guys saw that, but we have one in the floor, one in toe kick, another in toe kick over here. We did all new lighting, tile backsplash. We have these really beautiful Cambria countertops. So everything's in really nice, neutral, organic colors. What else? I have the homeowners here. They're watching. Do you guys want to wave? So we're all wearing masks. Yeah, does anyone have any questions? I don't know. Oh, corner pull. There's one more thing I want to show you. There's a cool another pull out. So this is a really nice use of a corner cabinet. Instead of having those old Lazy Susan spinners. So this actually goes all the way back into the corner of the cabinet here. Really nice place for like mixing bowls. I've seen people put KitchenAids on these. So it actually pulls all the way out of the cabinet. And then it goes back in. And so there's 2 layers of that. Really nice, easy access.
I think that picture is my favorite. We do have a few questions for you, Emily. Duke wants to know what the average price for a remodel of this magnitude is.
Sure. We actually have estimated costs on Castle's website, so I'd recommend going and looking at the website. There's all sorts of example budgets. Typically kitchens, if you're just doing a kitchen remodel and it's staying, in existing locations, so you're not touching other rooms, usually it starts at $50,000 and goes up to, $80,000, depending on the size, the level of finishes. So that's a good price point to just start with.
Perfect. And then we have a question over on our Facebook page from Mary. She wants to know, How does one decide on type of hardware to use on door handles and lighting?
That's actually my mom. Hi, Mom. You actually hire me. I'll help you pick all of those things out. So in this space, we did go with like a little bit funky finish. It's called graphite. So it's a little bit more on the industrial side, which I really like the way that it looks against these cabinets. And then as far as lighting goes, we did try and accent that graphite color. So we have black sconces here. On the ceiling, we did LED can lights. So it's just really minimal. In this space, we didn't want any accent lighting hanging down at the island. Just with the cook surface there, we didn't want anything interrupting, and visually, it's a little bit distracting sometimes if you have pendants hanging. And then in the dining room, the client, she actually picked this light out. We had a handful of lights that we were looking at, but this is one that they went with. And again, I'm not sure if you can tell, but it is a black finish. So all of that kind of coordinates.
It accents the space really well.
Yeah, it looks good on the cabinet color.
I think we have one more question on our Facebook from Joanne. Did you have to worry about asbestos when removing floor tile in the kitchen?
The kitchen didn't have asbestos. We did have asbestos on some pipes in the basement that had to be removed. But yeah, we typically do a test if we're concerned, or if it appears like it probably is from the era that has asbestos. The tests are pretty easy to do. We just take a little sample and send it in.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for your question, Joanne. I'm not seeing any other questions, but if you guys do have questions for Emily, you can leave them in the comments and we'll answer them on our Facebook and our YouTube, and probably as well in our newsletter when we share this with everybody again. So thank you for that, Emily. That tour was delightful. I'm going to talk to you about that corner cabinet for my own home. I love that.
Yeah.
Let's bring Lauren back. Hi, Lauren.
Hello. What a beautiful kitchen. Nice work, Emily.
Thanks.
All right, Emily, we'll let you go. Thanks again. All right, Lauren. Well, thank you, and Brent and Emily, for showing us those two beautiful spaces. Lauren, do you have any closing words before we start to wrap things up?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank everybody for attending, and hope you were inspired. It's never too early to start planning ahead. It is a busy time in the remodeling industry, and so we always say allow 2 or 3 or 4 months of planning and prep work before construction starts. We hope that you've seen a little bit of what makes us different. We always work hard to be a great value to the customer and bring professional service. Our processes are documented, and we've got an amazing design team that you saw in these projects who can really help you make your investment last, fit with the style of the house, not ugly out or wear out on style before it functionally stops working. And our showrooms are wonderful for seeing everything together, see the countertop with the cabinet, with the finish on the light fixtures, so you can kind of really get a sense, not at 5 different places, but at one place, what everything looks like together. And then with really thorough planning up front, we're able to give some guarantees that other remodelers don't typically have, like a lifetime warranty on our workmanship, a timeline guarantee where we pay you if we go over our deadline, and then a no unforeseen cost guarantee. And so the things like the asbestos, that question is a great question, because we really try to go to the level of detail where we've figured all that out before we started. And by getting to that level of detail, then we can give you a guarantee that there won't be any extra costs. And so we've got our change orders down to about 2% of our sales, with about half of that being customer requested items. So we've got the surprises, totally hidden conditions down to about 1%. So it's kind of like we can see through walls and predict the future. If you do it enough, you've kind of seen it all. So, we don't start out as the cheapest, but we've got everything in there and don't nickel and dime you throughout the process. And that allows it to go smooth and get done on time. So, that's my pitch on Castle. So thank you all.
That's awesome. Once again, folks, thank you for attending our October virtual Impressive Progressive event. We hope you enjoyed and that you leave inspired to get your own projects started. This event has been recorded and will be available to rewatch on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on future events. I believe this is our last one for the 2020 calendar year, but we should have 3 or 4 happening in 2021. So we're excited to get those out and onto your screens. Hopefully we'll also be able to do a few in-person events next year. So stay tuned for that. We genuinely appreciate you coming and hope to see you at future events. Stay warm, everybody.
Bye.